What? It's not Christmas. Or rather, it's not after Christmas. And this isn't my dorm room. So what happened? Funny story. So my brother has a science project that he was working on, and my mom comes up to me and she says, "Hey, do you have your camera?" And I say, "Yeah." And then I say, "But it doesn't have a lot of memory on it." And she said, "Why?" And I said, "Well, because it doesn't have a memory card." Yeah, she went out and bought one, which means I'm pretty sure I didn't get one for Christmas, but I got one now. So it's okay. So I have a bunch of Australian friends who have discovered my blog by accident / on purpose. And by that I mean the first one was an accident, the rest were kind of on purpose, but less preventable. Now I love my Australian friends, but it gets a little embarrassing because they're the sorts of people who have never met me, but they know me. So they get to watch me sit here and talk to a camera that's stacked on top of boxes. No, I mean really, it's stacked on top of boxes. I love my Australians and Australia. And I have been learning Australian things, kind of. So for the past 2 days, which has kind of been like one day for me, I've been learning Australian words. Now see, I have this friend who's Australian, and he's Caucasian Australian, which is like more Australian. And I didn't get it. I get it now. See, he knows all of these words and has heard them before that are like total Australian slang. While my other friends who are less Australian don't know half of the words that I say. So I have a list here of Australian slang words, and I think I'm going to pick out 10 and we're going to learn about them together. Now I'll put the words on the screen so that you can still see them along with the definition. Now I could go through and attempt to say them in Australian accents to amuse my Australian friends, but I don't want to. We'll see. The first word any good Australian / non-Australian person who knows Australian words should know is arvo. Arvo means afternoon. Another good word to know is bush, which would be said the bush. It's a noun, not a president. The definition from the website is hinterland, the outback, anywhere that isn't in town. The wild. Now, I'm going to introduce this word with the idea that any English word that has more than one syllable in Australian can be shortened and add the sound E or O to the end of the word, and it's Australian. Chalky means chocolate. Now, something you should probably learn right now that if you haven't learned yet, Australian culture is lazy. And their slang is basically shortened words or really, really absurd words to refer to things. This is another word that I learned that's pretty common in use. An esky, which is, in America we call that a cooler, and is defined as a large insulated food or drink container that you use for picnics, barbecues, etc. Here's a very Australian word that exists in America, but we don't use it the same way at all. Heaps. And how you'd use that word is how English people would say loads and how American people would say tons. So that was heaps of fun, or thanks heaps. Anywhere that you can put a word to mean a lot, you can throw that in there. This is an interesting one that I was informed isn't really used anymore, but it's still interesting. A jumbuck is a sheep. Why wouldn't you just say sheep? Here's a word that's easy to be mistaken. Manchester. While also a city in England, in Australia can refer to sheets, quilts, blankets, that sort of thing. Another word that can be easily confused with American English is the word canteen. While in America we think of that as something that holds water or just any kind of liquid, in Australia that means somewhere where you can get food, like a cafeteria. It's also called a tucker shop. Now I'm going to do just a quick read off of a bunch of insults that vary from kind of endearment to less, so some of these are a little outdated, but nonetheless they're all Australian. Ready, set, go. Whacker, nong, bogan, larrikin, drongo, hoon, widgie, dag, palm, dipstick, galah, dill, bogie, dingbat. Yes! That's all of them. Ready, set, go. Why?
Dumb ways to die. So many dumb ways to die. Dumb ways to die. So many dumb ways to die.
never, never.
Stay tuned for dog.
Cat.